Okay, honey, I just want to say, as a little benchmark for how we're doing with the Doctor Who marathon, we are 4 years into it. We've got quite a way to go. So here's some words of encouragement from Jamie McCrimmon, Mr. Fraser Hines.
Lucy, keep watching the shows. They are the best. They really are the best till John Perkins takes over. Then wait for a few years, and when Colin Bacon takes over,
Yeah, two doctors.
the two doctors and the 5 doctors. In the meantime,
of course.
we've got to go because the dancing girls are waiting for us. We've got to buy them a drink.
I shouldn't be saying that on camera, Fraser. Imagine if I started recording before I sat down.
Oh my god, that'd be so
I'll be so stupid.
You're so
Oh! Hello. Good day to you all. Welcome to yet another exciting instalment of Gardener's World After Show.
Yeah.
I am not a man
How are your bulbs doing?
Oh, mince.
Woohoo!
Hi everyone, Chris and
Hello.
Lucy here.
Hello.
The Johnsons are at it again, those wacky scamps. Talking about our ongoing quest. Well, our ongoing quest, your ongoing quest.
I've got a big
Because
scratch
you
on my
started
finger.
it. Well, you know, you started it.
Oh, I started it all.
That sounds so dark, doesn't it? Our ongoing quest to talk about Dr. Whame, which you can see here. This is the first one of these we've recorded in 2019.
Woo woo!
In fact, as we record this, our season 4 video is yet to go out, which we recorded back in November of 2018.
I don't remember anything.
The reason there's so many gaps between these is simply just because obviously there's a lot of story to watch and to absorb, and we have lives in it. But fortunately for the marathon, Lucy's had a bit of time off lately. Unfortunately for Lucy, it's because she's been injured.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I am dumb and have really hurt my back.
Do you want to just adjust the mic? Do you want to tell the people?
I'm going to tell the people what I'm really upset about. We've got a cup of teas here, as tradition.
Yes.
You've put the microphone on the biscuit box.
Well, do you want a biscuit?
You're insane. Of course I want a biscuit.
Well, you can have one afterwards because it'll play havoc with the
I'm
recording.
going to nibble you instead.
We also don't have Doctor Who mugs because if you remember a couple of videos ago, Lucy murdered them.
What?
So,
One? I murdered one.
Here's Lucy's Robo Cup. Hey, come with me or there will be biscuits.
That was a Secret Santa gift from a previous job. Best Secret Santa gift ever been given. Thanks, Ben.
And I've got Animal. Fill in your own punchline.
And that is a really good cup because it keeps your tea nice and warm.
Now, this is the first full season of Patrick... It does. This is the first full season of Patrick Troughton we've watched.
Yes.
Because obviously last series he was in every story but 2.
Yes.
This is the most full season of his we've seen so far. Next series we're going to see more Paddy than ever before, apart from one story.
Yeah.
But because of your time off, we flew through this quicker than planned, and I
did.
dare say we'll probably end up flying through series 6 quicker than planned. Not just because of the free time, but also because I think you're loving Patrick a little bit more than you were loving Billy.
What on earth gives you that idea?
Because you said you like Patrick Troughton as the Doctor quite a lot. So, in fact, there he is playing his little recorder
Look at him, bless him.
with his mate, old metal penis head.
He is good at it. He is good at playing that recorder.
That does look a bit dodgy on camera, actually, the cyber controller.
Are you 100% sure we can show that on YouTube?
I'm not sure. But this video isn't monetized, so...
It's black and white on the show.
Is Luna outside?
No, she's upstairs. She's
Oh,
in
our
the
cat's
bedroom.
meowing. Well, forget the cat, because we're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen.
We live in a zoo.
First story we do, we've got an extra animal now.
We do. I'd show you, but she's sleeping.
If
so
she
I'm
wakes
gonna
up,
go to
I'll put her over here so you can see her. She's an iguana.
No, she's not.
So our first story of series 5, or season 5, is Tomb of the Cybermen. We're cheating a bit here, because Lucy,
Yes.
you've already seen this story.
I have.
Tell the people, did we just randomly whack it on? I think you once upon a time said to me,
I want to watch an old one. Put an old one.
stick an old Doctor Who on. I was
think
like,
was it
alright.
one that you'd not seen before? So you were like,
I
let's have this adventure
had
together.
seen it before, but I think
Oh.
it was after we'd seen something where you went, oh, he's funny. I think we watched some like behind the scenes footage or something of Patrick Troughton,
Oh
or like an
no!
interview thing.
Was it the 3 Doctors?
That was it. I was watching some clips, and we watched a clip from the 3 Doctors, and you went, he's great.
Oh, he's a laugh, isn't he? Let's put him on.
Actually, hang on. Where was the telly in this? Was it up on the wall there,
Oh
or was
my
it in the
God.
corner of the room when we watched Tomb of
was
the
it at the
Cybermen?
flat?
No, it was here. We watched Tomb of the Cybermen. Can you remember where it was? Because if it was down there,
Pretty sure
it'll be
it was
because
down there.
right. It'll be because when we first moved in, the TV was on a unit on the floor, and now it's on the wall. When we first moved in, I remember shortly after we first moved in, a few months in, I watched the Three Doctors while I was like tidying or doing something in the living room.
Yeah.
That would have been it. You would have seen him in that and gone, he's funny. Have we got any more of him?
He's
and I went,
hilarious.
tell you what, watch this. Two of the Cybermen. Since you're an expert, tell us the basic story of Two with the Cybermen.
The basic story is
The Doctor.
Luna. Thanks, Luna.
Thanks for meowing.
The Doctor,
And
Jamie, Victoria,
aye.
bump into a science. What did I say that was wrong? An expedition.
Actually, we were talking about
To
before, and you
survive-
went a science walk or something like that, and it was like,
I'm
do
not
you mean an
that
expedition?
stupid.
I am though. I am.
I am. That's the joke. And they're trying to get into a mountainside, and it turns out that it is the tomb of the Cybermen.
Wah 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 wah. It's like Peter Griffin.
I freaking love that music. It's so funny.
It's not the best music associated with the Cybermen
It
for my
makes it
money.
so goofy.
Just you wait till the 80s, my God.
I can't wait. Anyway, so turns out two of the explorer expedition people are trying to bring back the Cybermen to control them, and the Doctor and his merry pals have to stop him from doing it.
The Doctor and his barnyard pals.
Yeah, but what I like about it, apart from lots of it, is the Cybermen were frozen.
Yeah, so it takes place on Telos, and it's a colony of theirs. And the context we're given is that they've been a threat to Earth at some point and have been defeated or pushed back.
Yeah.
And other planets as well. And these guys are basically trying to find out what became of them, like what happened. So they find this colony on Telos, this tomb. Which is heavily security protected. It's got electrified doors.
Oh my god.
As it fries that fella alive.
Oh my god, it does, yeah.
The story opens with a dude being electrocuted to death.
Does the Doctor start off with a joke that he gets electrocuted?
Oh, he does it, yeah, after he disables it. So he goes,
Yeah.
ooh, and he's like, oh no, it's perfectly safe.
Classic, that's where it started.
Classic
Classic.
twat trick Troughton, because, dude, someone just died.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, they arrive, and the theme of the series is they sort of just arrive, and then people are like, "The hell are you doing here? Arrest them! You shouldn't be here." And they're like, "Oh bollocks!"
They're like, I don't know why I'm here.
Hey Victoria, your first
TARDIS, what
Victoria,
you doing?
your father's just been killed in a Dalek story, and we're gonna take care of you and go on adventures. Oh, look, we've been arrested again. Oh, sorry, Victoria.
Oh dear.
Victoria. Now this story's got a lot of lovely moments for the TARDIS crew, especially. Including your favourite bit,
One
which
of
we
my
have referenced in a video before. We'll do it here we'll do it here because people can see it. Where the Doctor reaches down to hold Victoria's hand. Hang on.
Where are you?
Look at each other's hand. They go. Love
That
it.
was really poo. Nobody can
Arms.
see. Where? Left, right. Where?
Oh my tights.
Okay, essentially, we didn't do that very well. But he goes to hold Victoria's hand, and it turns out to be Jamie's, and they don't realise, and then look at each other with disgust. And
Yeah.
let go. It's quite amusing.
There's some really lovely stuff with Victoria in there. She's talking about like losing her dad, and he says like, "Those people never really leave us." And he's like, "Yeah, believe me, I know. Like I think with this like, and whenever I want to think of them, I just close my eyes and remember, and there they are." And it's a really nice sort of, because you forget, oh yeah, Victoria's a kid. She's like a late teens, terrified.
Tiny.
From the Victorian era.
Woman. Yeah.
She's tiny, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's not the only tiny leading lady in this series, because we
They're
bloody
all
meet one later. They're all
I think
tiny.
I think that's part of the audition thing. Like, you have to.
Are
be
you
under
5 foot or below? Yes, you've got the pass.
5 foot or below. Oh yeah, maybe.
Well, Patrick wasn't a tall man.
Patrick was 4'5".
And
so
Fraser
how small was
Hines.
everybody
Fraser
else?
Hines isn't a tall man, as we saw at the beginning of this video, which you've just watched.
Sneaky.
Did you like that?
Did you enjoy those drinks with those dancers?
There weren't any dancers having drinks.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
It was a coat rack. I didn't have the heart to tell him.
Oh,
Poor Fraser.
Oh, Fraser.
No, it was lovely meeting Fraser.
He's adorable.
And yeah, but it's.
Did you know that he's not actually Scottish? I am like, I'm mind
Really?
blown.
No,
Mind blown.
Doctor. Oh no, Doctor.
Oh, nee. Doctor.
Hoots mon, Doctor.
Oh no! Bless my kilt.
We joke, but Jamie is legit fucking great.
He is amazing.
Pardon my language. He's fucking great.
He is.
And it helps to have a character like that in a Cyberman story suddenly, because his entire thing for this is just just get at him, just fucking move away, get this bloke away. What's he doing? Get away from the controls. Like, he's so hands on.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, because like you had Ian, who was very kind of valiant and would step in and be the fighter in the historical stories, and Stephen would have his fair share of like fisticuffy moments.
Well, he'd just get annoyed at things.
And Ben would be very much like, "What's going on here? I don't understand. Stop messing around."
Ben and
Polly.
Yeah. Did we see them leave?
Nope.
For God's sake! How many companions leave and we don't know?
Well, we do know, because we read up on the stories.
Because they're not in the next story that we
Complete
watched,
this sentence. Eric Klieg
is a dick.
No. But Eric Klieg, master of the world.
I was going to say universe. That's a different franchise.
Well, he wants that too. What a great idea. It's a human villain going, yeah, do you know what? We're going to rescue these Cybermen from their hibernation, and they are going to be so grateful, they're going to help us do whatever we want. It's like, idiots.
You are wrong.
What do we think of the look of the Cybermen in this story? It's a little bit more refined from the last time we saw them in the moon base.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool look, right?
It is pretty cool. But definitely better.
Cool visuals in the story.
Yes.
Like the big hatch to the downstairs.
I thought you said big hat.
The big hat to the downstairs mix-up.
Don't you think the word hat is very amusing?
The big hatch to the downstairs is great. The tombs and the effects of them breaking through.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's like glass and liquid. It's cling film. It's glass and liquid, but that whole visual of their like little spiky fingers piercing the surface and coming out. It's
good
really
use,
creepy.
There's also in that context, there was good use of reverse shots.
Oh, when they would sort of slip back in, it looks like looks like the tombs just sort of like reforming in front of them. Yeah. Cyber controller, we're starting to see like a hierarchy in the Cybermen.
They sound hella creepy too.
You sound like this now. Instead of this bastard who we met last year.
He still talks like that.
I love the 10th Planet Cybermen voices so much. But they sound great. The little flap, like the mouth thing, moves down when they speak and then closes.
Yeah, I find that really creepy. Luna.
Sorry, our cat's trying to climb into the unit.
Mischievous madam.
Mischievous muggy.
Do you know what's really bothering me about the way they sound, though?
I think I say, do you know what's really bothering me about Tomb of the Cybermen? The fact that the only non-white character is the monosyllabic, clearly deaf and dumb servant character. That casting decision has not aged well, but at the same time, I don't think it was ever made as a point of that.
No, I don't think so. It
is just like, ooh, that's unfortunate.
That's a decision that nobody would make now.
Yeah, let's save racial insensitivity in Doctor Who for Talons of Weng Chiang, shall we?
Anyway, what I was going to say was...
What upset you about their voices?
No, it didn't upset me. Well, maybe it did, because I could not get something out of my head. Now, this is a bit far out there. Just stay with me.
Far out, man.
There is... I can't... My back hurts.
Sorry, I'll take it.
There is an episode of Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends.
Where is this going?
Where he... I wanted to say this before, but I forgot. Where he goes to... It's a UFO episode where he goes to speak to somebody who can speak to the aliens. And he kind of like...
Speak with the aliens. Speak with the aliens.
Where he can like channel one. And he talks like this all the time. And that is what I think of constantly when I think of Cyberman. I don't want to, because this guy is really creepy and weird.
So he's a Cyberman?
I said he's talking to the Cyberman.
Cyberman.
He's talking to the Cyberman. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show you a clip after this. Go and see a clip, because I am correct. And they do really sound like it. And that's just something I picture all the time. There's a little story for you. I'm not talking about Doctor Who much in this, though.
What?
I apologise.
What do we think of Two with the Cybermen?
I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I thought Victoria got a chance to be a little bit brave in this one.
Yeah.
Because she was...
Oh, she's in some dangerous situations. Victoria is often cited as, like, one of the companions that exemplified the problem with earlier Who, of, like, oh, the girls are just there to look pretty and scream.
Damsel in distress.
But Victoria isn't in it very long, and she's plucked from the Victorian era after her father is killed by in a Dalek incident.
Yeah.
And then meets Cybermen and Ice Warriors, and yet, of course she's terrified. Of course she's freaking out.
I think she handles it well.
Yeah.
Better than bloody Susan.
What did you think of these little fellas?
They look like slippers.
They look like slippers.
They're so cute.
Cybermat. I'm gonna put the Cybermat.
How did you keep that in your pocket? How did a creature in our house not eat that?
Nya, 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 nya.
Not as
There he
good
is,
as those
hanging out in the background.
Those ones with the Zarbi. They're the ones that like woodlouse. The
woodlouse thing, like when
you
you
can't
pick
just
it up,
pick it up and slam it on
smash
the
it
wall.
into the wall from the Red Planet.
No, I thought I know they're bad, but they're quite cute. Those.
We like Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah, really enjoyed Tomb of the Cybermen.
We like it. Ruddy lot, you bastards. Right.
Everybody was good in it.
Next up.
You posed after the first time I've seen you. Posed him really well. Oh, he looks so cute.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Next up is The Abominable Snowmen, which is in the Lost in Time set. Now, only one episode exists.
A lot of them are lost in time.
Yeah, that's why it's called Lost in Time.
Oh, I thought I made a good joke there.
I made a joke, but we read it.
Yes.
We read the story
Yes.
of Abominable Snowmen, the Yeti, or the False Yeti.
False Yeti.
False Yeti. Yeti Taxa. A voice from within the mountains, the monks following the wrong order, the Yeti hunter.
I'm quite proud of this actually because I realised what it was before it revealed.
As I was reading it to you and stuff, you were like, oh, as I was starting to describe the influence of this corporeal-less thing that was in charge and was using robots and stuff, you went, it's the one from the Snowmen.
It sounds like the one with I forgot his name again now.
Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant, freaking love him, by the
but
way.
you said it's from the Snowmen.
It sounds like the Great Intelligence.
And I was like, that's why she's my wife. That's not why she's my wife. That's not the yes. Oh. Yeah, in fact, you're not hearing the vows. You weren't paying attention. Do you take this man who is totally only here because you vaguely recognise an obscure Doctor Who villain to be your husband? And you went, I do. I will take this man.
It's not how it went, just to point out. It's not how it went.
I'll say this. I'm not sad we didn't get to see The Abominable Snowmen in its entirety because this series does suffer from a few lags where stories take way longer than they probably should do. We're going to have to be quite pacey. It's already on 54%. That's really bad, isn't it? The laptop battery.
Flipping it.
But I wanted to do that because the last two times we did this, we talked for hours. So, so there are pacing issues in a lot of the stories, and I would like to see The Abominable Snowmen, but I'm not in a rush. I'd happily read, say, a Target novelisation instead. Yeah. But I like the idea of the Yeti, and we don't really miss out on the novelty of them because they come back later this series.
Woo!
So, next up is The Ice Warriors. How excited were you to watch The Ice Warriors?
I was really excited. And do you know why I was super excited? Because
why were you super excited, dear?
Before it came back in the modern series.
Parlance.
What?
Modern times.
Anyway, we'll get to that in a long, long time. We went to see Doctor Who Proms. And do you remember this?
Wait, long before the Ice Warriors came back, you mean? Right,
oh, sorry, not Doctor Who. No,
I was like, hang on.
I should be more specific. Long before the Ice Warriors came back recently. That's why I went, what?
Yeah, so we went to see the...
Doctor Who Proms.
Oh, they'd come back? The Albert Hall?
Yeah.
No, they'd already been back.
Oh, yeah, of course, that's why it was there. Oh, my God. Okay.
You might not have watched the episode, though, because we were living separate. No, we weren't. We were living in the same bloody flat. Basically.
Who are you?
I don't know.
Anyway, regardless.
Who are you? I said yes.
Okay, we went to the Doctor Who Proms, yeah.
Yeah.
And a block of ice came up. A block of ice.
Yeah.
I can't see my bunny ears. Came up out of the middle of the crowd at the bottom, didn't it? The audience. And an ice warrior came out, and I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. Obviously, it's not real ice, guys. It was like rubber or something. It was dead fun. And it looked incredible. It looked incredible, and having seen your figures and classic pictures of Doctor Who, the Ice Warrior is one of those that's like a pinnacle. Look at this villain.
Yeah.
Purely because it looks good.
Yeah, it's in 2 Troughton stories,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, and 2 Pertwee stories before it comes
goes
back
into
in
the
Matt
modern-
Smith's
Yeah.
era.
So I was really looking forward to it, because I was like, oh, what's the hype about?
I'm going to quickly go grab the charger, because I don't
Okay.
think we're going to get to the end of this video.
Oh no.
Please tell these people, roughly, the plot of the Ice
I can't
Warriors.
remember.
Dome, classical house, computer society,
Oh,
Wallace.
I really don't know. The guy that voiced Wallace from Wallace and Gromit was in it. And he was with a guy that had a beard. I don't really remember much else, if I'm completely honest. Because I've been on a lot of painkillers, a lot of drugs. The only thing that I remember enjoying it about it was the way it looked. But I was very disappointed. It was quite boring. Hence why I can't remember what it's about. But it did look cool. It looked a little bit like a dragon egg with some fur on it.
A dog egg?
And a head. Not a dog.
Cracking ice, Gromit.
But I know we talked about this about half an hour ago whilst we were walking the dog. I can't remember what happens in it. I genuinely can't. And we watched it last week.
Less than that, probably about 4 days ago.
What's wrong with me? You're going to have to say what happened because I can't remember. I'm really sorry, guys. This is awful.
Well, as the computer society, people were separated into intelligent people and scavengers.
I don't remember this at all. What was I doing at the time?
Sleeping, possibly.
Possibly. I've just said that. I was probably
Well,
on
do you
quite a
remember
lot of
two
drugs.
episodes were animated?
I don't remember.
And a lot of
Oh my god!
like this.
That's what started the Slytherin thing, isn't it? No, it's not. It's me watching Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, well you were also marathoning Harry Potter at the same time, so
Which is far more interesting.
we were
than
making
this
parcel
episode.
tongue jokes throughout the
Yeah,
Ice
yeah.
Warriors.
They were very irritating, and that's pretty much all I remember from it.
I'd seen this one before.
Because you said don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, well you went, oh I can't wait for this one. I was like,
Oh,
okay.
sweet child.
Because I'd seen this before. There is a lot to like in the Ice Warriors, but again, it's a big issue of it doesn't need to be told across 6 episodes.
No, see,
It really could be told
did
in a
we
short
watch
period of
6
time.
episodes?
We watched 1 and 2, and then we ploughed through 3, 4, 5, and 6
Oh
on
my
a second
god,
viewing.
absolutely 100% zoned out. I'm really sorry.
But do you remember the Scottish scavenger gentleman who spoke like this?
No.
He was Peter Salus's mate. Cracking ice,
Oh
Gromit.
yeah, he was the one that was really, really scruffy looking, wasn't he?
Yes, isn't he? He had a very high Scottish voice and he sounded like this.
Honestly though, I genuinely can't remember what happened at all.
Yeah, it's a lot of Victoria being kidnapped. And
Was she? Honestly, I can't remember.
yeah, the Ice Warrior takes her hostage for like 4 episodes. Because again, the basic premise is great. They find this thing in the block of ice and they sort of, it's a sort of an Ice
yeah!
Warrior, sir.
Because she's communicating with the doctor and everyone, isn't she? And she's and they're like coming behind her or something.
Yeah, she works on her own initiative in this. Like, she deals with this stuff and she's great at doing it. But it is a bit Victoria's
remember.
kidnapped and walks around a lot. Kind
Because
of.
don't they have a weapon that the Cybermen are trying to...
Cybermen?
Or like a raid... No, sorry. Ice Warriors that are trying to destroy or something. Or the other way around.
Yeah, the Ice Warrior... Well, that's the thing, like, their entire facility's buggered. Because when they first get there, they nearly blow up. And the Doctor's the only one who spots what's wrong and stops it. You totally zoned out during the Ice
I
Warriors.
really did.
Ladies and
I'm
gentlemen,
so sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ice Warriors.
Let's put it on again and watch it whilst we do this.
No.
No.
Because this... I'll give my opinion. I find this one really boring. I know it's a bit of a classic, but there are better Ice Warrior stories. If you could take the plot of episode 1, episode 6, and streamline some of the events of like episode 4, this would be really cool. But it drags for me, the Ice Warriors.
Draggy.
Now we move into previously unmanned territory. We are going now into 2 stories, which as of a few years ago, you weren't even able to watch at all, if not only in parts. Not only that, I bought these on release, hence why I don't have the more recently re-released special edition versions with features on them. Couldn't care less. I just wanted the stories. And this was my first time watching them. I cracked them open, and we watched them together for the first time.
Fresh out of the wrapper.
Fresh out the goddamn box, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the enemy of the world.
let's talk about the enemy of the world.
Did we enjoy this more now because of the weird, screwed up political climate the world is in, and the parallels we could kind of see?
Oh, that's a good opinion.
with the Western democracy, especially nowadays.
Maybe a little.
Because there is a lot of conspiring and collusion in this.
A lot of betrayal.
There's a lot of betrayal. There's a lot of underhanded, seedy, mafia-esque tactics. There are people being told facts that are far from what is actually happening. This is the story of the TARDIS arriving in 2018 on a beach. And the Doctor goes for a lovely paddle he goes for a paddle in his long johns.
One of the best moments ever. This is why I really love Paddy Troughton.
Paddy T and the Giddy Ants.
His Doctor is so different. Hi, Dolly. Is so different. He's so fun. And just like a big kid, and yet he's so smart and he's so clever.
And he's a very good chess master. He sort of plays the baddies off against their own.
Exactly. He's
their own sort of like he lets them defeat themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually in a quite finite way.
Yeah.
Like he's one of the more, oh wow, that resulted in the death of the villain. Well done, Doctor. Oh, hang on. But he's not a malevolent man.
No, he's not. He doesn't do it maliciously.
No, apart from in Wheel in Space, which electrocute that Cyberman's brain.
Well, we'll get to that. But
you like him because he's
charming and childish and adorable.
I think what you like in him is what you started to like in Bill before the end of his run, where he starts to lighten up a bit, especially when he's with Vicky, and he starts to get quite sort of, ooh, and he's like, I'm having a laugh more about it.
Enjoying life.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment which I had to rewind and watch multiple times where he gets out of the TARDIS and he's getting undressed, and Jamie and Victoria are like, Doctor, what are you doing?
Victoria's definitely saying that.
And he's
Doctor,
like,
what are you doing, Doctor?
What are you doing, eh? I'm Jamie, I'm definitely Scottish. Anyway. We all love you, Fraser.
He's amazing.
And he takes off his clothes and he runs into the sea. But they landed there purely because he wanted to have a dip in the sea. And he body slams the sea. I looked for a gif of that moment and there isn't one. I wish I knew how to make one.
Guys, if you can make gifs, make a gif of episode 1 of Enemy of the World, the second Doctor skipping in the waves and then falling over.
And he like full on jumps and body slams the sea. And what is really amazing is he actually did that.
Yeah.
That's not like a stuntman or like CGI or something. He actually did that, and I just think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. The clownish element comes out in this story a few times before it suddenly gets very serious.
And that absolutely solidified Paddy Troughton as one of, like, in the top 3 of my favourite Doctors. Because he just makes me laugh.
Out of curiosity, who would you say, not in any order, is your top 3 right now?
Paddy Troughton.
Aye.
David Tennant, because he is my Doctor. I know, I'm one of them. And Christopher Eccleston.
Oh, nice. Okay. They are met by Astrid Ferrier, played by Mary Peach, who's great in this. And she takes them back to Giles Kent, played by Bill Kerr.
Because
Giles Kent is like,
people are after them.
Yeah.
And they don't
people try and
why.
kill them and they don't get it.
Also, he comes out of the sea, can I just point out, and puts dry clothes on, and he's not wet at all.
Oh, he's a bit damp. Like, he's sort of like, he's dabbing at like his hair and stuff.
He should have been absolutely drenched, but whatever. Anyway, just saying.
Well, you leave them alone. They're chased by a hovercraft and then escape in a helicopter. They've had a bit of a morning.
They've had a bit of a rough morning.
But yeah, so they Giles Kent basically says to him, look, the man who the world is praising as its saviour right now is a man called Salamander. And Salamander is, in fact, I've got his full name here. It's Ramon Salamander. And he says Salamander is, he's what is he, Hungarian?
A Hungarian, like, dictator that everybody loves. He's a politician that everybody loves because he seems to be doing a lot for the world and stuff like that. But people working for him start to realise that that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, there are those who are in positions of political power and stuff who've gone, yeah, the last time, like, the governor of that nation was seen alive was talking to Salamander, and then he turned up dead, and now Salamander's in charge of that nation. What's going on?
What is happening?
So
that was not a Hungarian impression, by the way. That just came out.
So political intrigue abound, especially when it comes to Salamander correctly predicting disasters.
A natural disaster.
Drumming
I don't know
up,
why I'm doing Bonnie's
drumming up the doubt in that nation's leader or monarch.
Mm-hmm.
And when they fail, after being offered aid by Salamander to do anything, because obviously they're like, don't be ridiculous, that volcano's not erupted in millions of years.
Help prevent it.
Yeah.
Save the people,
Salamander is able to usurp and publicly be seen as the hero stepping in to save the day.
Yeah.
So that's one curious thing about Salamander. This is a story with no alien villain at all. This is a purely human-driven story. But it is a sci-fi story because two fantastical things are happening. One, Salamander is definitely directly connected to the natural disasters.
Mm-hmm.
As the story goes on, we learn that he's keeping an entire research base of people underground in a big laboratory setup, under the belief that the world was hit by like a radioactive holocaust,
like
a nuclear fallout,
yeah.
And he's going up to the surface and sacrificing a bit of his health and life every time to bring them food supplies.
Apparently.
And they're using their technology to create earthquakes and things like that from below the earth, because he's convincing them that they're slowly reshaping the land and the matter.
That's going to help and take the radiation away.
Yeah, and as he tries to convince someone later on, I'm doing it to kill off the creatures that have replaced us up there.
And it's been like 5 years, they say.
Yeah, they've been under there for a while. They're going mad. They want to come to the surface, even if it's just to see the sunlight briefly.
Yeah.
But they regale him as a hero. So there's your sci-fi concept. He's keeping a whole society of people hostage under the false belief that he's keeping them safe. But the other sci-fi fantastical plot element of this story you can see on the cover image. Because boys and girls, Ramon Salamander is the spitting image of the Doctor. The reason Astrid and Giles Kent want the Doctor's help is because they believe he can help them get into Salamander's most secure facilities to provide access to evidence that will out him to the world as a murderer and a conspirator. Mm-hmm. Because the Doctor looks like him. So they're basically counting on the Doctor acting and sounding like him. And Giles Kent especially leans the situation in a way so that Jamie and Victoria are in positions of possible danger, and that the Doctor needs to help and go along with it to keep them safe. So the Doctor kind of gets it, but also is being forced into it, and the whole thing feels dodgy. Astrid's heart's in the right place.
Yeah, Astrid, can I just point out, is super badass.
She's pretty damn cool.
She's a great spy.
And what's the name of his assistant? She was great. What's her name?
What, the assistant's name? The guy with the weird hair?
No, the
ever-changing
food taster.
Oh yeah, she was cool.
I'm gonna find her name, but
she was also badass.
She was great again, because it was like, hang on, he's got a food taster to make sure he's not poisoned, right? He's obviously, somebody who, a lot of people are trying to make attempts on his life, so he has a food taster, and you get the sense over this that she doesn't like doing this.
Yeah.
But she's doing it to stay close to him because she's quite possibly looking for an in to blame him. Like, there's people throughout his entire thing who are trying to usurp him and prove him to be evil.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what's her name? Oh my god.
Lady with the spoon.
Lady with the spoons. She's brilliant.
Well, there's a super lot of
God, I can't find her name. I'm really
betrayal annoyed. And people sneaking behind each other's backs and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, who do you trust?
It's not Mary, is it?
I don't think so.
Faria.
Ah, yes.
Played by Carmen Munro.
She was very good.
She was so good.
Excuse me, I bet.
She's great. And all the side characters and stuff, all the people we meet, like, like Bennick and Anton. Bennick especially is obviously the slimy villain of the piece. He's the gentleman who'll pop up in later stories of Doctor Who. Who I was like, I recognise him. Why do I recognise him? And then I realised it's because he's the landlord in the Basil Brush show. And also he's one of the Imperial officers who features prominently in The Empire Strikes Back. So that's why I recognised him. But he's great. and has the worst haircut in the world, but he's great.
It changes. The length of his fringe changes constantly.
Jamie's hair changes length toward the end. Remember, his hair's shorter in the last episode.
It's not drastic.
But so there's some really nasty boo-hiss characters in this. There's also some really fucking hilarious incidental ones, like Reg Lie's character Griffin the chef, who's just this sarcastic, couldn't give a shit.
Depressed. He was like Marvin
the Martian. Marvin the Paranoid Android.
If you let me get my words
We did.
out, sir.
Teamwork makes the dream.
Sort of. Yeah, he was like Marvin before he was a robot. That's
like Marvin's origin.
Yeah, because he was just hilarious.
He hated everything and everyone.
He thought that all of his food was disgusting. He was like, "What's the point?"
He said about I'd send myself
Yeah,
out there.
you do that.
I'd send myself out there and get
matter.
executed as well. But I'll be honest, this firing squad would probably miss me. It's just like, oh god.
Oh, cheer up.
He was great. He was a really fun
very
character,
funny.
and this is where the show really starts to spend time creating interesting, oddball supporting characters.
How many episodes was this?
And I'll tell you why. We were talking about this. This was 6.
See that how drastic. A lot of six episode
episodes
stories are
drag
like,
a bit.
oh my god, what is going on? And we didn't realise how many episodes in we were.
We had a tiny theory as well. We think it's because suddenly the accents and the ethnicity of a lot of the supporting cast have changed. They're now more diverse.
Way diverse.
And accents especially, because it feels like there's a more recognisable sound to everyone.
But
it's not just like most of the stories for the last 5 years, which is a sea of people speaking received pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll go there immediately, Commander. Hello, I'm a rogue. I'm a vagabond who's lived on the streets for years. I'm a murderer. Hello, I'm a king. Hello, I am an evil villain. I'm a dictator. Oh, hello, I am a monster from under the sea. Yeah, exactly. They all sound like that. Everyone has sounded like that in this show for the last few years, bar a few people.
Mm-hmm. I think it gives the stories more substance.
Yeah.
And a lot of the scenes in previous ones are people in a room on a space, not a spaceship, in a control room. Same people in another room. Same people in a corridor. This one there's so many different characters, but not too many that you get lost in who everybody is. It gave it way more flavour.
Yeah. 2 things I want to talk about before we move on. 1, the twist at the end was pretty damn cool. I mean, there's a twist in the middle when you find out about the research facility and everything that Salamander's got hidden underground.
Uh-huh.
But the twist at the end when you realise that Giles Kent
Spoilers.
doesn't want to... Spoilers for a 50-plus-year-old television serial that was only recently found about 4 years ago. Giles doesn't want to overthrow Salamander and expose him because he believes it's the right thing to do. He wants to do it because he was Salamander's partner in crime up to a point. He knows what Salamander's up to, and he thinks he deserves that position of power and not Salamander. So Giles, who seems to have been I'm doing what I need to do to help people of Earth, like, I'm sorry to force you into the situation, Doctor, but I've got to do it. It's not because he has to do things, it's because he's playing everyone to get what he wants. I never saw that coming. I was so like, oh, holy crap, when that was revealed.
Usually we're quite good at guessing what's going to happen.
But not with that
we
one.
were like, what? Flipping it upside down.
There were some really nice reveals.
Really good, yeah.
And the other thing, of course, we need to talk about is Troughton playing Salamander. This is our second time a Doctor's taken on a dual role.
Yes.
But the first time we're able to see it.
Yes.
Because Hartnell did it in the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve.
Sorry, she's climbing the furniture.
I think he did it in the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. I might be wrong, but I'm sure he did. But Troughton gets to do it this time. He's pretty damn great in this.
He is fantastic.
Considering he's a warm, cuddly Doctor, and yet he's a really nasty villain. He's very slimy, and you get how unhinged he is when like the guy from down below comes up with him and starts to realise that something might be wrong.
Yeah.
You can see that desperation. He's like, I'd rather not kill him, but I'm gonna have to, and you can see it. And you can tell that Salamander, for all of his power, still has others do his dirty work for him. Like his security chief is the person who allegedly has bumped off more people. Even though he seems to be very taken aback by everything he finds out. Which is a nice twist. He's not like loyal to the end. And it's the guy beneath him, the one with the dodgy fringe, who gets sort of like a bit more power mad and is like the nasty man of the group.
Definitely.
But you can see that Salamander obviously clearly isn't happy getting his hands dirty because like he doesn't kill the guy outright. He obviously beats him and then leaves him to die
My God.
instead of killing him and finishing the job.
And the other guy's poisoned, but when he poisons that guy, he's like doesn't even care.
Yeah, no
Like,
shit's
well,
given.
you didn't do what I asked you to do, so I'm just gonna kill you.
It gave him the
Go
well. It
that
gave
way.
him the ultimatum as well. It gave him the choice.
Yeah.
So it's really odd because it's like Salamander seems to. It shows that he's got a bit of a cowardly streak in him. Do you know what I mean?
He gotta be in
Like this entire house of cards could come crumbling down any moment, and he's petrified of that happening. But his scheme doesn't necessarily mean he'll ever be in a position where he can, for definite, never be uncovered or found out.
Yeah.
He'll always possibly be found out, and that's.
But I think he's
you see that desperation in him in some
he's
scenes.
so drunk on power that's like not even crossing his mind.
Troughton is great in the dual role. Like he's really
Patrick
great.
Troughton, oh my gosh, the definition between the two characters is spectacular. What's she doing?
I just went to tickle her head and she swiped upwards.
Oh, she's in a mood because we've not fed her in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. She's not going to get fed if she scratches me. Little dickhead.
Little douche. Anyway, but then also when the Doctor is trying to play
Salamander.
Salamander. I keep saying Salazar. It's so annoying.
When the Doctor's trying to play Salazar Slytherin.
And he's speaking in parcel tongue.
Yeah, of course, you know.
It's got a bit of an accent.
And I warrior.
He
Open
plays
sesame.
he plays himself playing
Salamander.
differently than how he is playing Salamander. If that made any sense. I
Yeah,
hope
the
you know
second
what I mean.
Doctor pretending to be Salamander
Yeah.
is a passable fake
Yeah.
that does work,
But
but
as
is
an audience,
clearly
you
not
can see
like
that he's
Salamander when you. Yeah.
It's so funny. But the reveal to Jamie and Victoria that he is the Doctor is amazing. It is so good. 'Cause
Well, the was like, prove that it's you. 'Cause he's like, it's me. And they're like, prove that it's... Because he sort of pretends to be Salamander for a minute so that they say everything they've seen and stuff, so the security chief will go,
Yeah.
right, they're telling the truth.
because they look exactly the same. Dolly,
Yeah.
stop being a douche.
And he says, prove it's you. And he's like, he pretends to get his recorder out of his pocket, plays a tune, leaves a bit of the tune open, and then Jamie finishes it off, like, literally like a...
Doo doo.
But you wouldn't let me bring it out of the TARDIS.
Amazing. And then they're all like, yay,
They have a
the
big cuddle
Doctor!
because they're like, it's him, he's back.
It's so cute.
It's so cute when that happens. It's such a cool little
The
moment.
connection he has with Jamie and Victoria is so cute. It's not just like the protective thing that the first Doctor was with Victoria and everyone.
With Susan.
Sorry, Susan.
Yeah, when the first Doctor met Victoria at some point.
Sorry, I meant Vicky.
Yeah, oh yeah. He was definitely very
They're both
protective
called
of
Victoria,
Vicky.
let's be honest. Anyway,
That's
he's-
true,
he's-
they're both
he's-
called Vicky.
He's very protective, grandfatherly. Whereas with this one, it's like they're all friends.
And Victoria and Jamie go off quite a bit in these stories doing their own thing to help the mission, or they get lumped somewhere and they deal with it. So they're quite good at it.
Yeah. Jamie's kind of like, I'm scared of these situations, but let's just get on with it and do it, and let's help the Doctor. Oh, why are we here? Let's just go back to the TARDIS. All right, let's fix this. He's very proactive, is Jamie.
One more thing before we move on. You totally know what this is going to be.
What is it?
Would you like to tell the viewers what you realised during this story?
What did I realise?
What you realised about yourself and how
No way!
how watching this era of Doctor Who made you
No
feel.
way.
Come on.
I figured this out way before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Was it that headshot?
No, right.
Was it the
Can I show a
headshot?
picture?
Yeah. Was it the headshot of him in the shadow where he's in like he's near a microphone and it's his.
That's the one I've got.
Oh my god! Right.
Right.
So,
Okay. So can I just point out?
do you want me to put it into the thing?
Yeah. So wait, hold on. And then the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So Patrick Troughton.
Oh, you saved it. Oh,
Is it
okay.
Yeah. For the purposes of this podcast.
Yeah. Whatevs.
Is extremely attractive.
This picture.
Oh no! Please show.
Hang on.
Stupid laptop thing.
Camera. That's right. I'll lower the brightness. That'll probably do the trick.
Because everybody needs to see this. Oh, closer.
There he is.
Look, he's beautiful. He looks a little bit like Tom Hiddleston. Do you not think?
No.
Okay.
I think he looks sort of like a tiny
But
John Cleese in that picture.
he's very attractive. And him as Salamander. I didn't say Salazar. Go me. I mean, damn. Damn, Doctor.
Would you not say it's the accent, huh? The occasional use of the word, huh?
Everything. God, wow. I'm surprised that I, realised what the story was because I was just staring at him. I know you're my husband and I love you so much.
Yeah, you're lots of fancy people.
You're the most attractive man I've ever seen in my life. But
okay, you're literally flat out lying now.
Shut up. He is, wow. He is very sexy. And I have a big crush on Patrick Troughton.
Oh my god. Now, question. Does that crush translate to the second Doctor, or is there a bit of separation?
I think kind of in a goofy way, because he's so funny. And him,
okay.
I mean, in the first episode with him, where he was pretending to play the recorder because he did not have it?
Yes.
How funny is that? That's so charming.
So you fancy the second Doctor, but you fancy Patrick Troughton.
God, I mean, ladies, guys, watch this
Ladies
episode.
up in here tonight.
Damn. As soon as he came on, I was like,
ooh.
wow.
Yeah, you overthrow countries
Patrick
and manipulate the political...
Are you a horrible dictator? You kill people? Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more.
Oh my god. So, Enemy of the World. Pretty great story. So happy it's been found. It'll stir your loins, ladies.
Absolutely.
So that's Patrick
Let's
Troughton.
just look at that picture.
No, I'm just going to put this over here with the
I wanna
others
see that.
because we have to move on to the next story, which again was another one that didn't exist in much form for the longest time and arguably still doesn't exist complete because episode 3 is telesnaps and soundtrack. But it did the job. It told the story. Ladies and gentlemen, let us find ourselves trapped in the web of fear.
Can I just point out, sorry, something we missed out.
Oh.
The Enemy of the World. What year was it set in?
2018. We did touch on
Spooky.
that. Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah, because I said,
sorry.
it's weird how it's the same sort of year as all the political shite that's gone down in the world.
I was just thinking of Patrick Troughton's face.
Of course you were. You fiend.
Yeah, but how strange is that the episode's set in the future? Like you said before, episodes
We're
set in the
now
future
at that point,
are
yeah.
now. That's really weird.
And that happens a few times over the course of it. The most interesting one to me was Dalek. The 2005 story is set in 2012. Weird. But cleverly is set in an underground museum of Henry Van Statten's.
Yeah.
And you only get slight allusions to the above
It was set in
surface world.
It was from 2005.
2005 and it's set in 2012.
Wouldn't you go a little bit further?
Well, no, because the idea was that it was the recent future.
Okay.
So it was more just to sort of like be, hey, some more exploration and surveillance and wreckage stuff has gone on since 2005. Keep in mind, Fearher's set in 2012 during the Olympics.
Oh my god.
So that aged very quickly when it came
episode.
to the Olympic ceremony.
Jeez. Is that the one with Chloe Webber?
Chloe Webber. I love Chloe Webber.
Whisper everything.
This episode's got amazing themes in it, but it's not the best execution, is it?
This is supposed to be scary.
You're tearing up a council road. You stole over the council act. You stole from a council van. I'm reporting you to the council. Anyway.
Oh.
Web of Fear.
Okay. Yep.
What's the Web of Fear about?
Web of
Lutu
Fear
Brunu.
That's not my name anymore.
What is your nickname?
Anyway.
It will be after the divorce when you clearly leave me for Salamander.
I will not leave you for Salamander.
It's 2018. He's around now.
Oh my god! No, well, he's not anymore, is he? Let's be honest.
He's chucked.
He fell out of the TARDIS
into the time vortex,
Yeah,
and then we
quite...
move on really
and then
quickly.
the episode ended. That was quite funny.
Open for him to come back. Don't think he ever did in
Where
official
did he
media.
land?
I will look that up while you tell everybody the plot of the Web of Fear.
So, the Doctor, Jamie, and Victoria end up in the London Underground, and it turns out that some kind of misty foam is killing people. So they're blocking off. They've evacuated London, haven't they? They're blocking off sections of the underground. And they bump into the army because they're about to blow everything up to stop it from trap
certain
it.
stations because certain stuff has been seen amongst the fungus and the foam. What's been seen, Brenu?
People with it's like webs, isn't it?
No, not that.
Oh.
What's been seen lurking in
Oh
in the subway.
The Yetis.
The Yeti.
I do kind of want to throw myself at one because it looks really, really soft.
And there are slight redesign in this as well. Like they've got a bit. The beak in the face is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But they're still the basic premise.
It's got a beak. That's horrifying.
They're still the basic premise. They are sentient robot life forms who have a control sphere placed inside them that is operated by something elsewhere. And it becomes pretty apparent very early on in the story that it is the Great Intelligence.
Again.
And the reason the TARDIS has been brought here, because it's sort of it's held in suspense. Even in a web at one
they've
point.
they've got to try and close the doors, haven't they?
Oh, that's from the end of the last one. But then it's held in place, and like even the webs form around it, like the web cocoon forms around the TARDIS.
Oh yeah.
And then when it's ready, the webs disappear, and it lands not where they've planned, and it lands in the underground, which is great because they clearly filmed this in the underground of London,
very
and it
cool.
looks so good because of it. Like seeing the deserted stations, which again don't look that different today. Right down to the signs being the same sort of designs. They're there with like, you know, Tottenham Court Road written behind them and Charing Cross. It's like
that's really strange
to see.
hear them saying like
It's like,
Charing
we're just outside of Charing Cross,
Piccadilly and stuff.
Piccadilly, yeah, it's like
Piccadilly line. It's like what?
It's moving along the Central line. So you're like, okay.
Yeah, what the heck?
But you know that's it's a great setting for the story, and the idea of these giant, hairy, like abominable snowmen robots wandering around the underground, and this bacteria, this foam fungus, this web-like stuff that's been growing and spilling out everywhere. It's like, what the hell's happening? You realise very soon after they meet, I'm trying to remember the character's name now, but the professor in it, who is the gentleman they met in the Abominable Snowmen.
As part of
Professor Travers. They meet him again, this time alongside his daughter Anne, who is awesome. Especially the line, "What's a pretty thing like you? I had a pretty thing like you turn out to be a scientist. End up being a scientist." And she says, "Well, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a scientist, and now here I am." It's just like, oh damn! She gets some really good lines in this.
Do you want a cold compress for that burn, sir?
The Professor Travers is like, "Look, stuff's going on with the Yeti. Like I brought back one of them from my expedition, and this private collector's bought it." And he's like, "I had a control sphere. I've been tinkering with it. It's gone."
Trying to get it to work. Why?
Yeah.
That's just asking.
Well, or trying to do something with it, and it's disappeared, and it starts this chain of events that leads to the Great Intelligence manifesting once more, and the whole episode is a trap for the Doctor. This is the first time since I think the Chase, maybe the Dalek Master Plan as well, but where the plot of the story is involved him. Get him here now.
We're
going to do
we
something.
want his knowledge, yeah.
And that's the thing. The Great Intelligence, when it finally speaks to them at the end, is like, I don't want to destroy the world. I don't want to take it over. It might have its fingers crossed behind its non-existent back, but it's not what I want to do. I want you. I want your knowledge of this Earth's past. Because at the moment, he just believes the Doctor is super smart and possibly immortal or whatever. Like, doesn't know the whole truth. But it's like, I want the knowledge of this Earth's past. Because it collects knowledge. It's a non-corporeal sentient being that travels the universe and collects knowledge and becomes more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And it's hijacked the robot Yeti once again, giving him a bit of an upgrade, and it's all to basically lure the Doctor.
Yeah.
That's why Travers is involved. But there's loads of great supporting characters in this one. We'll go through a few of them. For example, Staff Sergeant Arnold. They kept calling him Staff. He was the very northern bloke who was just part of it with a little moustache, who showed up again toward the end.
And we're northern.
And was a piloted corpse.
There were some things that I could not understand what you were saying.
Yeah, he was really, really quick.
Put the subtitles on.
Yeah, like Captain Knight. You had Harold Chorley, who was the journalist, the journo, who went missing.
What is Dolly's been an absolute creeper.
Do you want to come join us on the couch, Dolly?
We have 2 cats and a dog. It's a bit like the film we bought at a zoo.
Except we didn't buy the zoo.
We
adopted one part of the zoo. We adopted another part of the zoo. And then we bought the third part of the zoo. Do you know what, Dolly? If you're going to be like this, be in the video.
You little poo bag.
You little sugar plum.
So good job, you're cute.
Luna's there behind you. So,
He's so cute.
yeah, so you've got the journalist character, which is again a great idea. He's like, look, I've got to get this story out to the people.
Yeah.
And you find out a lot about him through the characters like, you write sensationalist stuff, you're after this for your own fame and notoriety, this has got nothing to do with getting the story out.
I like that a lot of people were like, oh, shut up and stay there. Which is what you would do.
There was your second favourite character for this story. Hi, everyone. There was your second favourite character for this story.
Did you get in shot? Hey!
I'm in shot. Hi.
Hey guys.
There was your second favourite character for the story, who's Driver Evans.
Oh, boy, oh.
Who was a Welsh gentleman.
The Welsh one.
It's like, hello. I was like, I'm just the driver, see. It makes you wonder, why is he in the military?
I was driving an engine.
He's
An
a
engine
massive...
called Ivor.
Ivor the engine,
Ivor the
was he?
engine. Oh, I've got a dog sleeping on me.
Oh, God. Keep an eye on the cats. He was a massive coward. And it made you wonder why he was even there in the first place.
People. My name is Minnie.
And I'm dressed like Winnie the Pooh.
She has a hoodie on because she's a chihuahua and she gets cold.
So, it makes you wonder like why he's there in the first place, but he is.
Yeah.
He was great, very cowardly.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, let's face it, the best supporting character in this story, because he just rocks up, deals with that shit, and then is like, I call that a victory, don't you? And that is... Oh, hello, what was that reaction?
No, I think he's just a freaking awesome character.
Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. This is the debut of what will be a future member of the ensemble cast of the show.
I'm excited.
And a recurring guest for the remainder of its run and his time with us here on this planet. Played by Nicholas Courtney. Unit isn't here yet.
No.
He's part of the military. He's Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. He's rocked up to help deal with the situation. Yeah. He's come from one of the other infantries above. There's been an attack from the fungus, so he comes down and takes charge of the situation. And proper takes charge of the situation.
He's just like...
no nonsense.
He gives no shits. The situation just needs to be sorted out. All of my men died, but alright, let's carry on.
There's that whole thing as well, like they believe that one of them must be delivering information to the Grey Intelligence, giving away their position. And he's like, right, well, I'm gonna treat everybody with respect and due diligence, but I'm also not ruling any of you out.
Yeah.
And it's not like you must prove yourself. It's just he just gets on with it and keeps an eye on everybody. He's great. Like, what a cool, no-nonsense character. Just in the context of this story, he just rocks up and deals with it. He's amazing. So, Lethbridge Stewart, you're great. You can stay.
Did you move?
Yeah.
Just so everyone can see that.
Yeah. He's amazing. He can stay. And he does. He comes back.
He does.
Spoiler alert. Next series.
Yay!
So you're going to see more of him.
Is he going to be the Brigadier next time?
I don't know if he's the Brigadier yet, but he's certainly with a certain organisation the next time we see him.
I feel very happy that... Because we've seen him play somebody before, haven't
Yes,
we?
he was in the Dalek Master Plan.
Yeah.
We got to see him in one of the episodes that survived.
I'm back.
The Telesnaps episode doesn't disrupt this story at all. It works still with it in Telesnaps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one where we sort of were listening to it whilst you were working on a knitting project and I was playing Contest of Champions. And we were listening to it and looking up at the screen every now and again.
Excuse me, it was a crochet project. And
Alright.
it was a Pegasus.
Of course, yeah.
Anyway, yes.
So, he's great. The story's pretty damn great.
Yeah.
Favourite bit?
The model shots, great.
Oh, the underground where the
With
phone
the
was
phone
coming
coming
through
through?
it, yeah.
That was fab.
My favourite bit is when the Doctor and... what's the name? Is it Anne? The Doctor and Anne rewire one of the control spheres and take control of a Yeti.
That was
And
very
he has like a little voice box around his neck to command it. And there's this moment where they're both really giddy where they're like, oh my god, I've got a new toy! And it's just really, really nice.
Also, they did that in like 8 minutes.
How calmly he deals with that scenario as well, where it's like, we're taking Victoria hostage, you've got 20 minutes to make the decision as to whether you're going to surrender and your friends will die. Not surrender and your friends will die, or surrender and we will use your intelligence and learn from you and return you effectively. Like, you're not going to die. What we're going to do to you will not kill you. It will revert you to the state of a child.
Yeah.
Because your mind will basically be emptied of all of everything it's learned over the years. And that whole thing where he says to Jamie, like, this is what we're going to do then. And he's like, well, you'll have to look after me, won't you? You'll have to sort of make sure I'm okay and safe. It's not going to get to that, though, Jamie. And you're sort of like, oh, I don't want that to happen to him, but I also find it weirdly sweet, the idea that they would probably do that. Victoria and Jamie would probably look after him.
Definitely.
And make sure he was safe.
Aww.
So that was mega cute and also really disturbing. And also nice because this is a sequel to The Abominable Snowmen.
Yeah.
It's the second time we meet the Great Intelligence.
Yeah.
We meet the Great Intelligence again 3 more times, but in terms of the main series, not in spin-off media or anything.
Yeah.
3 more times in the show, and all of those are in Matt Smith's era.
Oh, really? 3 times?
The Snowmen.
Yeah.
The immediate next episode, The Bells of St. John, it's revealed the Great Intelligence was behind the plot. The one with the Wi-Fi and the spoon-head things and everything.
Yeah.
With Celia Imrie's character, who, when she's reduced to how she was before the intelligence started affecting her mind, you realise she's been infected by the intelligence's influence since she was a child, which I now realise was a really cool nod to what could have happened to the Doctor in this story.
Yeah.
And is really disturbing in that.
That is a very
the
long
Great Intelligence
throwback,
returns
but it's
in,
a good one.
And then, in the Snowmen, they get all that lunchbox that he has, which has the London Underground on it.
Yeah.
And that chronologically is the first appearance of the Intelligence Manifest on Earth.
Very cool.
So it's obviously learned about that and has gone, there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a place to strategize. So the order of the stories for the Great Intelligence are the Snowmen, the Abominable Snowmen. Oh, that's cool. The Snowmen, the Abominable Snowmen, the Web of Fear.
They're actual snowmen, though.
Yeah, the Snowmen and the Snowmen, Yetis and the Abominable Snowmen, the Web of Fear, Bells of St. John, and the Name of the Doctor.
Crazy.
Now, it's not necessarily like the same form of the intelligence, because obviously it takes Richard E. Grant's form in the Snowmen, and then doesn't use it again until the Bells of St. John, but it's like, fair enough, webs. But there's some of that whole possessed thing and the voice coming through someone else in this, with Professor Travers, who is played, interestingly, by Jack Watling, the dad of Deborah Watling, who played Victoria. So her and her dad got to be in a story together.
That's very cute.
Which is quite sweet, considering in the first story, Victoria and her fictional dad are separated by death.
That's one way
Speaking of death, this next story is completely dead. Fury from the Deep. I would love to see Fury from the Deep.
Sorry, can I just add a comment for the last one? The Welsh guy didn't die.
Yeah, Doctor Who does have a history of the dickhead characters surviving.
I was utterly convinced that he
What?
Don't throw it about, dear.
Even Minnie's shocked. Oh, now she doesn't care. She'll go back to sleep.
I really did think that they were setting him up to be like...
Well, there's a bit where he gets caught as well by the Yeti, and you're like, right, he's going to get his comeuppance for being a coward. And he doesn't.
He doesn't, and it's like, God damn it.
But good people do die. Like the staff sergeant dies because he's then just a dead meat puppet talking
like, that's not fair.
on behalf of the intelligence at the end.
That is not fair.
It's like Voyage of the Damned, isn't it? Series 4, the Tennant one. All the nice people in that group get killed off over the course of the story.
Yeah.
And the nasty billionaire bloke played by the guy from Corrie, the really smarmy posh one, is the only one who survives.
It's not fair, guys.
Not fair.
He was very amusing, but not fair.
Do you know what else isn't fair?
What?
We can't watch Fury from the Deep.
Yes.
Because
it sounds really awesome.
It doesn't exist. Fury from the Deep, known mostly to people by that image. Oh, I'm screaming, mate.
Your camera is poo.
But yeah, Fury from the Deep. A base into siege story with oil refineries and oil rigs. A scientist's wife possessed by mutated seaweed. Fungus and foam growing all over the shop.
Yeah.
Her walking into the ocean after conspiring with the other guy who's infected. And the scientist says to him, like, have you seen her? And he's like, you'll see her soon enough. This is after she's walked into the water. There's some really cool ideas in Fury from the Deep, including Patrick Troughton in a woolly hat. Patrick Troughton wears a woolly hat in that story, and we've already seen it in images.
I would never going to see that.
Yeah.
Is there a picture of it?
Search for it. Patrick Troughton, woolly hat.
Patrick Troughton, woolly hat.
Patrick Troughton's woolly hat. But there's a few significant things in Fury from the Deep which we aren't able to see because no footage of it exists. Just stills and bits and pieces. One of which is the debut of the sonic screwdriver.
Yay.
This is the story where the sonic screwdriver first shows up and he's using it to inspect the pipe. And that's where he hears the heartbeat in the pipe, which he believes might be a creature. And later on you realise it's because creatures are trying to infiltrate through the pipes.
Look at him in his woolly hat.
You got him?
So cute.
You got him?
Yeah.
You got a picture of him? Get it large. Writ large.
Oh, he looks so cute.
Writ large, woman. Writ it large.
Alright, bloody hell.
I want to show it to the world.
Here he is with a stethoscope. Oh, look at him. Oh, he's cute, isn't he?
There he is. There's an image from Fury from the Deep, which we can't watch.
Which you can't see because the
But
camera's
he's in a
big.
lovely woolly hat.
Woolen hat.
Victoria looking at him going, my God, that's a lovely woolly hat. This is also another significant story because yet again, a companion departs the show and we don't see it. Victoria is traumatised by everything that's happened. She can't take it anymore and she leaves and stays with Frank and Maggie Harris at the end of the story. What say we to Victoria, Maboo? She's not the most short-lived companion, but obviously she's only really in this series. She's in the last one of last series, and then she's in this series.
I thought... Careful, you're going to sit on the dog's head.
It's alright, I'm not leaning back.
I thought she was good. I enjoyed the stories that she was in. She didn't do anything particularly, like, outstanding, but she didn't do anything that was particularly annoying.
Deborah Watling is very likeable,
Yeah.
I think.
She's very cute.
She's adorable, and the character is resourceful, but, again, because of the short amount of story, she does, unfortunately, just kind of act as a lot of it as the damsel.
Yeah.
She's not an incapable character, but she is unfortunately kidnapped or imprisoned or held in rooms for a lot of her run.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. Because there is something really cool about a companion from the past being on these stories. But of course here we had 2 companions from Earth's past being in the stories. So a change is needed. How about, just a suggestion, a scientist from the future as a companion?
That sounds quite cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wheel in Space. Oh no, Patty! Patty, no!
Dolly, you killed Paddy!
The Wheel in Space is the final story of this series. Another base and siege story, but very sci-fi. Right down to Star Trek-esque uniforms and ranks.
Like it.
Alien-esque spacesuits, which I thought was really cool.
Alien space.
Well, we said that Jamie with his helmet off in this story
Sorry,
when he's
Dan.
in the spacesuit looks like Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing outfit from A New Hope. Or, technically, Luke Skywalker from A New Hope looks like Jamie in his space outfit in The Wheel in Space.
Yeah, true, yeah.
The Doctor and Jamie arrive on a spaceship, a rocket, and a robot attacks them, and the Doctor gets concussed and sort of needs to be... They get picked up by this other ship, and then they find out this other ship, which is a giant wheel-shaped craft in space, the Wheel in Space. It's going to... Oh, there's a hoodie coming off. It's going to...
I feel like I took it off a child then. Arms up!
Arms up! It's going to use its X-ray thing to destroy this other ship because the circumstances of this other ship's return are suspicious. It was a ship that was 80 million odd light years off course and then reappeared here. So while they're investigating the Doctor and Jamie, trying to figure out who they are and why Jamie stopped them blowing up this ship and sabotage their X-ray beam, because Jamie doesn't want them to destroy it because the TARDIS is on it, and he needs to explain that, but he doesn't know how much to give away while the Doctor's unconscious and in hospital. Mm-hmm. These white pods have started landing on the ship and affecting it, and especially going after its is it Benalium supply. It's a stealth attack by the Cybermen, who are approaching from further out in space. And as we find out over the course of the story, their motive is to take over the Wheel in Space and use it as a broadcast tower to signal to the Cybermen fleets that are waiting out there to draw it toward this part of space, and specifically a takeover of Earth. So it's a pretty cool story. 2 Cybermen, a couple Cybermats making a reappearance.
Big eyes.
The big ass eyes, the big eye ass.
And the guy just puts it in a cupboard.
Because he's like, oh, you're weird. I'll put
you're
you
a
over
space
here.
bug. I'll hide you away from everyone.
We didn't get to enjoy the story of the crew members being deemed insane and others being mind controlled and just sort of like being the Cybermen's bitches. We didn't get to see too many spacewalks. We got to see Patrick Troughton's cool little braces, cool with moons and stars and flowers.
We did.
And we get to meet Zoe, who's the science officer who's way too curious and has way too many questions about them, to the point where at the end she's like, I want to know more. Jamie's like, we can't tell you more, sorry. So she sneaks on board the TARDIS.
Bye.
She's like, well, I'm just going to join you then. Apparently, you're down a companion character, and the only qualification is they have to be 4'9". So here I am.
Tiny, teeny.
But if I stand in this chest, I'll be slightly taller.
She looks like she's about 12. Can you not
She
eat your
does.
hoodie, thanks?
But so Zoe joins the show, which means that now we are set for season 6. The main cast are now Patrick Troughton, Fraser Hines, and Wendy Padbury. We watched episodes 3 and 6 of The Wheel in Space because those are the ones we could watch. Again, available on the Lost in Time set. I think we saw the best bits of the story, to be honest, after reading it.
Yeah.
When we started watching episode 3, we were like, wait, the Doctor's only just come round in the hospital bed. Jamie's only just ambushed the X-ray
What
beam.
has happened? Not much.
Not much has
clearly.
happened for 2 episodes, has it? For 50 minutes, not much has happened.
I felt very disconnected from this episode.
And again, that's down to the missing episode syndrome, I suppose.
Yeah. I liked this. I liked the space outfits.
The design of it all, like the.
I mean, the space suits when they go out.
Yeah, I like the crew uniforms.
Cool.
I think they're very cool. Do you know what it reminded me of, actually? You know Rimmer's costumes in the later seasons of Red Dwarf, where it's kind of like that quilting
padded,
effect. Yeah, it looked like that.
Yeah, nice.
And again, varied casts, different accents, different behaviours, different looks, different ethnicities of the cast themselves.
Yeah,
it's like, yes, well done, show. Don't just be a bunch of people talking in RP accents in rooms and being very annoyed at each other. Like, vary it up a bit.
There's a good sass look where somebody makes a comment. Where,
I'm glad you have a sense of humour. And the guy behind him's like, girlfriend! Yeah. It's got some nice stuff going for it, but with the 2 episodes we saw, I think we got the most out of it we're going to get, really. If it existed in full, I would watch it. I think the story sounds really cool. I think
6 episodes does seem quite long. Sorry, the cats are about to have a fight.
Well, I've got some good news and bad news.
Okay. Hit me with the news.
The good news is we're about to move on to season 6, which contains only one incomplete story that we can watch, and that is the Space Pirates. We're going to see 1 episode of the Space Pirates.
Which is really sad.
Which is really sad, but that means coming up we have it's Dare. Coming up we've got, you ready for this? These are the stories that are on the way. The Dominators, The Mind Robber, The Invasion, which has missing episodes reanimated, The Crotons, The Seeds of Death, the only episode we can watch of the Space Pirates, and then the 10-episode epic, The War Games.
Is that a full 10 episodes that we can watch?
What do you mean, like... all of them, yeah.
Wow.
And it's one story pretty much for 8, starts to change in episode 9, and then episode 10's its own beast. And episode 10, the whole story's a great idea. We're definitely gonna have to watch it in little segments, I think, to digest it. But the last episode is one where you're gonna go, oh my god, I don't know how to feel. That was amazing, and I'm sad and happy, and I can't wait to see what happens next. It also introduces one of the biggest parts of the show's mythology, making its first appearance in the show. But I'll save that for when we get to it.
Okay, that's concerning.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. It's something where you'll be like, oh my god, yeah, they've not mentioned this yet. That's weird, like knowing what you know of it. Well done, Minnie. She's just in a weird. Well done, Minnie.
We're at that point where the puppet that we have to positively reinforce everything she does. Yay!
Yay! Well done, you little shite.
Well done for peeing on the ground.
I did a wee. Look at me. Woo. So there is that. But I've got some bad news as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can handle it.
They're about to be long serials.
Oh no.
However, savour them, because season 6 is the last season with the second Doctor.
No!
Your hair looks fabulous, by the way.
Thanks.
It's really red.
I'm actually really upset about that.
I know. So let's dwell. What do you think of series 5 overall?
Loved it.
Pretty good stuff. What would you say?
It was very short though.
Right. I knew you liked Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
What? It wasn't short. It's just you've had time off, so we've ploughed through it. What? I knew you liked Tomb of the Cybermen. What story would you say you thought you were going to be the most excited for? I'm guessing the Ice Warriors.
The Ice Warriors.
What story did you end up loving the most, aside from Tomb of the Cybermen, which I know you still love?
I've forgotten its name already.
Enemy of the World.
I loved it.
For various reasons.
That honestly,
you horn dog.
No, not just because of that. That's a big reason, but it's not just because of that. That's up there with the Aztecs.
And that's still been your favourite so far, hasn't it?
That's 100% my favourite episode of
the show so far in our marathon.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to next year in the next series? Like, what sort of stuff do you think you're going to be excited for? Do any of those titles ring exciting to you?
I'm now interested in this 10-episode epic that's going to happen.
The War Games, the finale. It's the first one that sort of has a finale feel to it in a way. Because it's the... I mean, do you want me to tell you the basic without going into too much detail?
No.
Well, you know it's his last series, so it goes without saying it's his last story.
Something bad happens.
And that's the first time this happens where the last story for a Doctor is the end of a season.
Yeah.
So
Which felt really strange.
For 10th Planet. But that's because the way it used to go out, it was constantly on, and then at the end of a season, it would not be on for a few weeks, and then it'd carry on again.
That's crazy.
And
yet we have to wait so long for modern ones. What the hell, guys?
Yeah, well, we're about to, when we go into John's first season, it's more it's on for this many weeks a year, and then it goes away. And then it comes back next year, and it's on for this many weeks. Sometimes overlapping into each year.
Don't
so, like,
eat that, please.
One series might start at the end of a year when one's already been out and things like that. But, you know.
What are you looking forward to?
Right. I'm trying to think which ones I've seen out of Series 6. I've seen the Dominator. No, I've not seen the Dominators, actually. I've seen the Mind Robber. I love the Invasion, and I can't wait for you to see the Invasion, because I think it is the best version of a type of story we've seen a few times, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
It's an Earth set one. It's with a specific antagonist, and I think it's the best executed version of their story. I also think a redesign of a classic villain in that story is really good, and it's one of my favourite looks for them, and sets how they look from that moment on.
Who's that?
I can't tell you.
Cyberman.
But it's a Pat Troughton era story, so you can guess which recurring antagonist.
Is it the bloody Cybermen again?
Might be.
As long as it's not the Daleks.
It's their last story. It's their last story. It's the last. All right. It's the last Cyberman story you're gonna get until Tom.
Oh my god.
So savour it, son.
Well, it's not.
And it starts the whole wide head, big handles look.
But now I'm starting to think. Oh, I love those. I love. Are they like
the
ones that we saw in
the Wheel in Space is the last time you see in these little fellas now.
Is that as stupid as it sounds? Do you remember when there were people dressed up for charity?
Yeah.
In Selfridges, and that was one of them.
Oh no, they were Earthshock, but the 80s look is inspired by the look in the Invasion. So
80s.
Yeah. The Seeds of Death. I have seen, and it's the return of another enemy making a final appearance. I've not watched the Space Pirates episode, so I'm intrigued. I think more than anything, I'm just looking forward to hearing and seeing your reaction to the War Games final episode.
Oh, don't.
Because again, there's an element in it where you'll go, "Oh my god, I can't believe we've not touched on this till now."
I've realised that obviously we can put these in and watch them whenever we want, but I'd be sad to. I'm just getting over the fact that Patrick Troughton is not alive anymore.
Well, again, like Fraser said at the start of this video, wait till the 5 Doctors and wait till the 2 Doctors.
That's true.
You're not done with Patrick yet.
Good.
But we are done with this review. It's been a long one. It required a charger. The computer is stuck in limbo at 43%. The battery's actually going down with the charger plugged in, but that's because we're recording this through OBS. And it's also another long episode. So...
Because all the animals are running around and fighting.
They're underneath this table that the laptop's on. So
It's
I'm going to go
precarious.
before the Cyberman falls on the floor and gets eaten by the dog and pooped out in a couple days' time. Let us know what your favourite Season 5 stories are down below.
Let me know if I'm the only one that fancies Patrick Troughton.
And we'll see you...
when we see you. Goodbye!